Chapter 3, Section 3, Confederation in Crisis. Although Congress under the Articles of Confederation had notable successes, many Americans saw problems with the Confederation. Most of these problems stem from the fact that the Articles gave so much authority to the states and so little to Congress. George Washington declared that the Articles were no more effective at binding the states together than a rope of sand. Trouble with foreign countries. Congress's weaknesses were recognized not only at home but also abroad. The lack of central authority made relations with foreign countries more difficult. For example, one British official said it would be better to negotiate with each state than to do business with Congress. When Congress tried to reach a trade agreement with Britain in 1785, Britain refused because it knew the states wouldn't agree to be bound by the accord. Many foreign countries also questioned the nation's financial stability. The United States had accumulated a huge war debt, mostly to foreign lenders, but Congress lacked funds to pay its debts. The Articles directed the state legislatures to pay taxes to the national treasury based on the value of each state's land. However, Congress could not force the states to pay. To make matters worse, overseas trade shrank under the Confederation. Britain restricted American trade by closing some of its ports to American vessels. These actions hurt the American economy, which depended heavily on the British market. Meanwhile, the United States had little success boosting trade with other countries. Another problem was national defense. In the Treaty of Paris, Britain had agreed to withdraw troops from the Northwest Territory. Once it saw how weak Congress was, however, it refused to pull them out. Britain and Spain supplied arms to American Indians and urged them to attack settlers. Having disbanded the Continental Army after the war, Congress had no military force to counteract this threat. Quarrels between the states. There were troubles between the states, too. As foreign trade declined, the economy relied more on interstate commerce, trade between states. But states often treated each other like separate countries by imposing tariffs or import taxes on each other's goods. In theory, Congress had authority to settle tariff disputes between the states, but the states often ignored its decisions. Money was another divisive issue. The Articles allowed Congress to issue currency, but the states were still allowed to print their own paper money. Because there was no uniform currency, people had little faith in the money. In some cases, it was worth little more than the paper it was printed on. Gold and silver coins were readily accepted as payment, but they were in short supply. The lack of confidence in paper money made interstate commerce and travel even more difficult. The combination of high debt, weak currency, and falling trade caused the country to slide into an economic depression. This drastic decline, marked by business failures and unemployment, caused discontent to spread throughout the country. Discontent fuels Shays Rebellion in Massachusetts. Farmers were among those who suffered most from the economic depression. Falling crop prices and the loss of foreign markets left many farmers with crippling debts they could not repay. Farmers in western Massachusetts were hit especially hard. Some had their property auctioned off by local courts for non-payment of debts and taxes. Others were sent to debtors' prison when they could not pay their debts. In the summer of 1786, armed and angry farmers occupied a courthouse to prevent the court from doing business. In the following weeks, these rebels took over the other Massachusetts courts, hoping to prevent trials and imprisonment of debtors. This uprising, known as Shays Rebellion, after its main leader, Daniel Shays, quickly mushroomed. In September 1786, Shays led hundreds of farmers to occupy the courthouse in Springfield, Massachusetts. A few months later, he led about 1,200 farmers to try to seize a weapons stockpile in the same city. This time, the Massachusetts militia stopped them, and the rebellion collapsed. To face the threat of Shays' Rebellion, Massachusetts had needed funds to hire and supply a larger militia, but Congress had been unable to send money. Instead, private donations from wealthy people had helped the state militia put down the revolt. In the aftermath of Shays' Rebellion, rich business people and landowners were particularly worried about Congress's weakness. They feared that anarchy would engulf the nation. Many Americans were not so pessimistic, but did agree that the government should be strengthened. A call for a constitutional convention. While Shays' Rebellion was erupting in Massachusetts, delegates were gathering at a convention in Annapolis, Maryland. This formal assembly was called to fix trade problems between the states, but the delegates knew they had more serious problems to address. Two important political leaders, Alexander Hamilton of New York and James Madison of Virginia, were among the delegates. They drafted a request that all states send representatives to a constitutional convention to be held in Philadelphia in May 1787. The purpose would be to revise the Articles of Confederation to create a stronger, more effective system of government.